We'll now have a little reading from Rays of the One Light. This is the weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. It says number 47, Reincarnation, the Spiral Staircase. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. In the book of Revelation, chapter 3, Jesus Christ tells us, "Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out." There is a difference between church dogmas, which are based on reasoned deductions from scriptural statements, and the pronouncements of wisdom, which are based on the inner realization of scriptural truths. Reason, like a train, can only follow already existing tracks of human experience. Human memory, being short, is seldom able to cross back over the threshold of a person's present existence. Biblical references to previous lifetimes on earth are overlooked in the deductive process, and we find them therefore excluded from the body of official dogma. Nevertheless, such references exist. The Bible itself presents them, as does Jesus in this passage, not as abstract teaching, but as direct personal perception of truth. In the same way, Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, silences Arjuna's reasonable doubts on the subject, not by reasoned argument, but by the frank statement contained in the 4th chapter of that great scripture. Arjuna, you and I have passed through many births. I know all of them, though you, O chastiser of foes, recall them not. Thus, through holy scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
Om. 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 Mm. What a joy having everyone here. I think it's a good opportunity on a Sunday when we don't have guests, but really too, as a community, appreciate those that put in lots of effort to make things happen and keep going. And there's lots of, I won't mention names, but there's people that are constantly helping either Kalamali or myself or Ananda in some way, or people that have reached out for help and they're doing stuff in the background. So just a beautiful opportunity to thank you all for putting in that little bit of effort and making it, or a lot of bit of effort. I won't say a little bit, to put that in. So what a really cool topic about reincarnation and uh, the spiral staircase. And as you said that, I was thinking of, yeah, I don't think I want to do that spiral staircase. I remember going to, um, the airport now, and they have those inclinators that run along the ground. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. I'll jump on there and make that effort rather than anything else. But what a cool, the spiral staircase of reincarnation. So I thought I'd start with reading from Whispers of Eternity, and it kind of talks about that journey that we're on. It's I am the bird of paradise, wishing to fly in thy astral aeroplane. Thy astral aeroplane of parting came to take my soul away from this earth. I wondered through what strange skies I would soar now, and to what lands I would travel. I asked the mystic pilot, cosmic law, whether I was to go. That silent one answered soundlessly, I'm the pilot of life, mistakenly called terrible death by ignorant earth folk. I am thy brother, uplifter, redeemer, friend, unloader of every gross burden of bodily troubles. I have come to fetch thee away from the valley of broken dreams to the highlands of light where poisonous vapors of sorrow never rise. I have broken mercifully thy cage of flesh attachment, that thy soul bird may escape. I have broken thy chains of disease and fear, thy long encasement behind bars of bones accustomed thee to thy little cage, making thee cling to it fearfully even when I open its door. Yet in thy heart thou didst want thy freedom always. Why now art thou fear-filled, having won thy long-craved freedom? O bird of paradise, hop into my plane of omnipresence. Fold now thy fluttering wings and ride with me. Be peacefully anywhere, everywhere in thine ethereal home. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I love it. It's a couple of amazing parts. It's like the journey that, the long journey that we sometimes do on a Sunday service. But what I like about that is that, it's almost the journey that that Yogananda is taking us on. And it's kind of really cool to know that he is our bird of paradise bringing us back and that we do. And what is this story about reincarnation? And we kind of know that reincarnation is directly linked to karma. And, the law of karma, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So what comes in, we keep firing these elastic bands out, and with the same amount of energy that we've put into that keeps flying us back. And then we're born into this life. And I was thinking the other day, you know, who here every day does things, and when you finish doing it, you go, did I really just do that? Did that just happen? What was that reaction for? Like, it was kind of unjust when we start thinking about it, or why does this thing keep happening to me? Why does that keep happening to me? Why am I in this job again and again and again? Or situations. And we had a simple card game. We often enjoy a good game of Skippo as a family, and we were playing Skippo, and there's all these rules of Skippo, but then we have these little family rules and in life, and we were playing one the other day, and it's always takes backseat if it helps someone,
And then you get the card.
and then you get your card, and anyway, there was a strong reaction with one of the players who thought that they were going to win, and that reaction was kind of funny because it was like, "But you cheated," even though we'd sort of set these boundaries and rules, and it was kind of an interesting thing because it's like when you think about it, we were like had to discuss through that. Well, what can we do now? Like the game was over, and someone huffed and puffed, and they were like, "Hey, oh, but you cheated," and we're like, well, what do we want to do? Do we want to play another game uh, and move on and have fun? Like, Skippo's fun. Like, we really want to do this, but we can't keep doing it if we're going to be hung up on one single thing. And then it was that discussion about, well, what what do we do? Like, how do we fix this problem? Obviously, you have strong feelings, which is fantastic. We have feelings, but what do we do? What is the doing part of this? Do you remember all the cards that we had in our hands and go back to that one point and try and change it? Or do we try and think, well, do we now change the rules? Um, but at some point, we've either got to enjoy the game and keep playing or move on, or we've got to stop playing it. Do you want to keep playing? Anyway, so you can see where I'm going with this. And often it's very easy in this world to start thinking about reincarnation and going, well, what's happened in the past? Has that created where I am now? And then how's that going to shape my future? What do I need to do to change it? And you can get really tied up in that. There's lots of discussions around, well, the past and the future and all these kind of things. But ultimately, we were given free will. We have the opportunity to change it now. And if you think about that reactive process that we often talk about, it's we often are in autopilot, aren't we? In our daily life, we're in autopilot, not in free will pilot. And so it's like every day is about that, playing with that action and reaction. So we start coming into play and we have these strong ideas, good or bad, doesn't matter what they are, and they get thrown out. And all of a sudden, we know that they're going to come back. And that's happened when we've come into this lifetime. We have those reactions still in play. Constantly, we have those reactions. You know, why does someone become a teacher? Why does someone go into IT with a computer? And then they identify with that. They're like, well, I'm a computer technician. And then all of a sudden, that's their reactive process. That's what I am. And then every time something comes back to rethink it or change it or do it or whatever it is, we're fighting it because I've now attached that elastic band to who I am or who I think I am and what I do. And that goes to work, it goes to family, it goes to all these things. Ultimately, we've probably all lived lives together and we all have some connection where we've had to learn these lessons and keep going on. But now we have an opportunity to change it. We have that opportunity in the process of changing that. We have that ability to start moving up the staircase, but each step of that stair takes is recognizing that we have that free will to change it and go on life with that ability to look at it and change me, not change my circumstance, because then we're just delving in the elastic band of karma. But change me, change what I have to do, because ultimately everything that happens because of something that I've done. So it doesn't ultimately matter. It's like, and half the time we're so caught up. You think about 90% of our mind thought is tied up with me, I. And then the person you're talking to is 90% caught up with me, I. And it doesn't matter what you say, it's not going to change them. It's maybe they might take in 1% or plant a seed, but you could lecture someone, you could go down this path. And one of my favorite chapters in the autobiography is chapter 12. And it's where it's kind of like living in the ashram. And you'll know that story. It's about where Sri Teshwar had that disciple that he came in, that there was some human affiliation to a link to someone, and then eventually they left, and then that whole chapter really is like the lessons of life. I'm going to read a little bit in a minute, but it's this lesson of life. In that whole chapter, there's somebody that comes in that's a scholar and then tries to talk to Sri Teshwar, and Sri Teshwar talks about that. You can get caught up in the words of scholarly and you be a debater of life. And then there was the judge, if you remember in that chapter, talks about the judge, and all Sri Teshwar's disciples were indignant by the way this judge was even speaking, and the reaction by Sri Teshwar was completely different. So there's all these elements of people coming and going in life, and you can, as you read this chapter 12, you can really go into it and go, I know a person like that, or I've done this, and I've actually reacted the way that the disciples did. And where did it get me? I've just flung this elastic band out, and it's come back and slapped me in the face again, and I didn't learn my lessons. And so it's kind of like this play of life that we're getting involved with, and it's like, where do I want to be? Well, we have the last incarnation. I was, whatever it was, I was a monk. I lived in a cave, and now all I want to do is not be around people. And I can choose to do that or try and avoid that or continue to do that. Or I had lots of children and I need lots of people around me, and I like the chaos of life, and and then you've got to learn that karma that, well, you had lots of kids but you didn't look after, there was no self-care involved, and there was no, and so you're learning all these different things in life. But at some point, like all of us, we've just got to go, well, what does it mean? It's fun. It's like watching your own movie, isn't it? And deciphering and doing all those things. But ultimately, we have to change. And that's that path that we're doing. The beautiful part about it is we have a guru that chose. Now, he could have chose to go to a different realm, but he didn't. He chose to come back to serve us. That was a choice. That was a free will choice to bring us along on this journey. So now our spiral staircase has now become, a bit of an inclinator. It's got a bit of a motor driven. He's helping us get up there. We're not doing every step. Um, and then eventually, as we progress and we make choices and get rid of those stairs, it becomes that flat ride at the airport where we jump on this little inclinator and it scoots us along the ground and there is no stairs. But again, it's our choice. We can keep engaging or we can keep learning. And it's one of those things. And I love in Autobiography, I'm going to read a passage because it basically talks about that free will and what we need to do. And it's based around the end of when that disciple had fallen from grace and moved on, and it was a hard thing. But um, it's Sri Teshwar told the disciples, he said, "How can sense slaves enjoy the world? Its subtle flavors escape them while they grovel in primal mud. All nice discriminations are lost to the man of elemental lusts. Students seeking to escape from the dualistic Maya delusion receive from Sri Yukteswar's patience and understanding counsel." And this is the counsel. Justice, the purpose of eating is to justify hunger. I like how he used justify hunger, not greed. So the sex instinct is designed for the propagation of the species, according to the natural law, never for the kindling of insatiable longings, he said. Destroy wrong desires now, otherwise they will follow you for after the astral body is torn from its physical casing. Talking about reincarnation. Even when the flesh is weak, the mind should be constantly resistant. If temptation assails you with cruel force, overcome it by impersonal analysis and indomitable will. Every natural passion can be mastered. Conserve your powers. Be like the capacious ocean, absorbing within all the tributary rivers of the senses. Small yearnings are opening in the reservoir of your inner peace, permitting healing waters to be wasted in the desert soil of materialism. The forceful acting impulse of wrong desire is the greatest enemy to the happiness of man. Roam in the world as a lion of self-control. See that the frogs of weakness don't kick you around. I love that. Roam in the world as a lion of self-control. See that the frogs of weakness don't kick you around. What a beautiful thing to say. And it is uh one of those things. We do make choices. We have that ability to be in control. We've been given free will, and it's our choice to stop this spiral staircase of reincarnation and get on top of it. And we've got all the amazing tools.
Thank you. Just a little thought that connects the affirmation and the reading and the topic for our week. So if you think about what ties us in our daily life that we do, and there's a word for it, to our karma, where we repeat the patterns of our subconscious tendencies in our battle for the light. And it starts with an H. Does anybody know what that might be? Habits. So the reason that Swamiji's affirmation is perseverance and doing one thing at a time is to start to use that spiritual force of willpower and control of our life force so that when we slow down, we start to notice our habit patterns. That's what gives us the control to persevere, to face challenges that are deep-seated karmas. Because if we don't employ that use of our free will and control of the life force and our energy, we repeat the same habits, thought patterns, tendencies, all the things that we're trying to change. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, we learned that habit can also be used for our spiritual liberation. So it's using that power to repeat positive habits that can help us grow spiritually. But in the end, we need to be able to apply a clear lens to everything that happens. That's why it's easier to see other people's bad habits. And Davy called it the fog of karma. I love that. There's actually like a huge foggy mist today. It really goes well with that theme. But why can we not see clearly our own karmic tendencies? We don't want to see them, I think. They're just so deeply ingrained. It's like,
Mm.
so to clear through the fog, we need to do our practice of meditation and anything that gets us out of those bad habit patterns. We need to
Habit.
keep our lens and our windshield wipers working. What happens if the windshield wipers stop? It builds up again. So it's a bit like meditation is, something that we take part in that clears that debris, that fogs our vision. And that's why it's that image we all know very well of the ripples in the lake from the little pebble dropping. It's the stilling of all those ripples. And that's why Swamiji talked a lot about this phrase, crystal clarity. And it's that one pointedness, but with an ever stilling vibration. So we're drilling into the seeds of karma by going deep into our sushumna, deep into the spine, by going deep in meditation, deep in our devotion. And anything that we can do to persevere into that vibration as purely and without attachments, desires, all the things that make that ripple occur. We want to get back to here and do one thing at a time, resolutely with that pure, focused energy, one pointedness on God. Because that's the only way we're going to get out of our karma is with our complete focus and then our complete surrender to God's will. And we all know that that is what won the battle. And that's why Arjuna had to lead the fight because he's third chakra, one pointedness, fierce self-control to change those patterns and aligned with Krishna, God's grace. So what a more perfect thing do we have to live by so that we can get out of that cycle? I don't know if any of you have had that moment where you're just like, why? This is so monotonous every day. There's like these glimpses where our soul is like, I know that I want to be free and enjoy complete Satchidananda, ever new, ever conscious, ever changing bliss. But it's like, here I go again. But it's not that it's that next day in this little life. It's that we have done so many lives. And we actually don't change our soul nature very much between lives. But what we can change with God's grace is the habit patterns. And so our guru and his grace clear the fog. Then we don't need the windshield wipers working so hard because we're allowing the weather to change. Because what better way to clear the skies is through God consciousness and union. So to attune ourselves to that, sunny skies, beautiful weather, Satchidananda, we have to be persevering and we have to be dedicated with every bit of focus that we can. And then through that single one-pointedness, we can be in master's vibration of samadhi consciousness and true yoga. So that is our hope, right? That is why we're fighting. That's why we're here. And we keep coming to things and we keep having satsang, we keep going deeper into our learning. All of that is to achieve that goal. So we have a little song to now listen to and take this more vibrationally and in our feeling into our hearts. So we'll play that for you now.